Now I need to talk a little bit about data organization. In NX world, we use tools called layers. Now, we have a fixed amount of them. There are 256 of them. Currently, everything that we create goes onto what's called a work layer. And that work layer, once it's set, everything goes to it. Everything. So we need to separate things out to make sure that we're not overly filling a layer. Maybe we want to separate our sketches. Maybe we have additional geometry, curves. Maybe there's something in there, additional solids you're using as background. Whatever that may be, you want to make sure you separate the data out. Now, there's pretty much a golden rule when it comes to layers within NX. I'm going to go into View. And right over here, you'll see I have a few things for layers. This is a work layer that's currently set to 100. We go from 1 to 256. I just happen to have mine set to 100. You may have a different standard where you work. The move to layer function allows me to move data around, and then layer settings controls how I view those layers. The most important aspect of this, and this has been something that I've seen pretty much everywhere that I've been, is you want to put the final solid, what you want to see, on layer 1 and nothing else. You want to verify that with your design standards catalog, but in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I've never seen anything different. And there's a reason behind that. And that is because in NX, there's a script that creates a visualization filter. So when we go into an assembly, you just see that solid. Okay, so that visualization filter is called a reference set, and that gets made automatically. So the solid goes on layer 1 and nothing else. Depending upon what you have as far as data organization at your corporation, then follow those basic standards. But like I said, solid on layer 1 and use all the other layers for all the other purposes that you may have. Now, again, if I take a look at my layer settings here, I've talked about, this is how you view your settings for each layer. You can see currently the work layer is set to layer 100. As you're working, you can manipulate that work layer. So if you're going to add something new, you can change the work layer right away so it goes to that work layer, or you can move things afterward. Now, as I look at my layer settings, you'll see here I have what are called category names. These are the names of the layers. I have curves, datums, sheets. You may have something set up a little different for where you're at. This may look a little different name-wise, but for the most part, everything operates exactly the same. If I turn off category display, it's just going to show me the layers with objects. So these filters allow me to take a look at what's there. And in this case, I just want to see what I have on my various layers. Currently, layer 61 has something on it. I can turn that off. And as soon as I turn that off, remember the red check mark denotes visibility. Talked about that in the hide show video. If you see a red check mark, that means it's visible. If it's not there, then it's technically hidden, or in this case, invisible. You'll see I have layer 100 set to work, and I can't make that invisible. So what I want to do is I want to move that solid from layer 100 to layer 1. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to move to layer, select my solid, select OK. I know a lot of people have this temptation that they want to start typing something in here, or they see the layer filter they want to start using. This isn't the place where you want to do that. This is just the class selection. This is just picking what you want to move. Select OK, and then you get to the layer move window. Here is where I specify I want the solid on layer 1. So at the top, I'll just type in 1, hit enter. Now, when I look at my layer settings, you're going to see an additional layer with an object. So the solid is on layer 1. If I turn that off, you'll see the solid goes along with it. Now, what I want to do is I want to make layer 100 invisible, so I hide all of those other sketches. So for this, all I'm going to do is go to layer 1 and double click on it. So when I double click on it, it's going to make it the work layer. So now, let me just rotate my part. When I make layer 100 invisible, you'll see that all of those sketches are now gone. Not going to see them. So this allows you to clean up and organize your data. Nice thing about invisible layers, I'm going to go ahead and close this, is that when I try to do something like show hide, you'll notice here the sketches don't even show up. It's because the sketches are technically invisible. They're not hidden. So anything that you move to a layer that is made invisible can't be seen here under the show hide because it's not just hidden, it is invisible. Let me close this out. If I look at my Part Navigator, you can still see those features there. And if I were to do something like right mouse click and do a show here, it'll automatically make that layer that they were on that was invisible, it'll automatically make them selectable. So now if I go back to layer settings, you can see layer 100 is selectable. At this point, if I decide maybe I wanted to split the sketches out, put those on different layers, again, I can go move to layer, pick my sketch, select OK. Maybe I want this on layer 101, hit apply. I want to select new objects, pick this sketch, hit OK. What layer do I want that on? Maybe I want that on layer 102. And this time I'll hit OK. It applies it, and then it puts it on that layer. So now when I go into my layer settings, you'll notice I have additional layers shown. So these are the objects on the layer. I have a sketch. The sketch has multiple curves in it. That's why you see different object counts. Now, when I turn these off individually, you'll see those are now invisible. If I turn one on, for example, and close that out, and then I go back to my show hide, you'll see, oh, I have sketches there available to me. All right, so now I can make these hidden or shown. So there's a difference between the invisible, shown, and hidden. Close that out. Let me go back into layer settings, make that layer invisible, and close. The next thing I do want to talk about is part of the file organization is you may have specific attributes that you have for parts. I know I've used specific colors for material types or part types, that type of thing. And it's important to understand how you change the colors, organizing your file in said fashion. So when I want to change a color, it's basically you come over and I'm going to change my selection filter. I can go to solid body. I'm going to pick that solid body. Now you'll notice on this little strip, I have edit display. I can also use a Control J. Again, this is just from selecting that solid body. I'm going to go edit display, and this takes me to the edit object display tool. Now I can change the color. So if I want this to be, let's say purple, select OK. And then another thing that I can do is I can change the width of the edge display. I can change the font of the edge display. You can do translucency on parts here as well. Just as a warning, the translucency may cause your video processing to really slow down a bit because it can be a little heavy if you're not cautious. So once I've applied the changes that I want, I simply select OK, and now my part is the appropriate color. So that's the basics of data organization. Again, remember, very important, the only thing that go on layer 1 is your final solid. Okay, so there's script running behind the scenes that will create a visualization filter that at the assembly level will only show that final solid. Everything else can go on different layers. And again, refer to whatever design manuals you may have to make sure that you move your data to the correct layers.